thank you for coming to listen to our talk on the true nature of spring. It's called Reach for the Sky, the true energy of the season of spring.
Anna Werderitsch.
Eileen Kennedy, Feng Shui, BaZi, professional, specialista.
Herbs, acupuncture, health extraordinaire.
We start with this lovely quote called, it's from, so all of our information is gathered from classical Chinese texts. Particularly, both of us actually are both all of this information is influenced by the Huangdi Neijing, which is the Yellow Emperor's Classics. And this quote is from, so that text, by the way, is has writings on the origins of yin and yang and the 5 elements and health. So this is from chapter 16, and this is translated by professor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, Lorraine Wilcox. During the first and second lunar months, heaven qi begins to go out in the 4 directions. Earth qi begins to be sent outward, and human qi is located in the liver.
So it's like this unfurling. This qi is going outward. It's a spreading, opening, a spreading.
Yes, and a meeting. They're both meeting. You know, they're both like spreading out and meeting each other in this balanced, energetic of yin and yang.
That's beautiful, because as we're starting to step into spring, there's a lot more activity. We're wanting to. The days are, we're coming up to the equinox. We'll be talking about the equinox a little bit, as the days are going to be in perfect balance in just a couple weeks on, I believe, March 20th. And then the days are going to start to get longer. And this is going to be very tempting for us to all unfurl very quickly.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so in that, we'd like to just say some of the key words to this season and to what spring is governed by in these philosophies, is governed by the element of wood, and the nature of the healthy nature of wood, or just the nature period actually, is spreading, sprouting. It is ruled by the season of wind. There's this expansive, moving quality, supple. Moist. There's definitely a moist piece to suppleness.
Penetrating, expanding, reaching, searching, yearning. It's intuitive. There's an energy of investigation, of sort of like problem solving through some sort of probing, detective work. It's analysis. It's a time of being crafty, of seeking out the light, of seeking out what you want. It's a time to really be putting in place. I want to welcome a guest. We have Mark. Thanks for joining us. This is part 1 of a blab we just finished.
Just finished. Half recorded. Now we get to record the first half.
Yeah. Thanks for joining. So yeah, this is a season of in this philosophy, it's a season of the wood, and it's the yin wood and the yang wood. And yin wood is like the young plants. It's the sprouts. It's the vines. It's a creeping wood. It's a tenacious. It's
penetrating through deep earth.
Yeah, it seems to have no difficulty kind of popping up through the soil. It's
no matter what you put on, it will go around an obstacle.
It will go around. It's the weeds that grow in the sidewalk. It's the one seed that grew in the crack, and it found its way through the buildings. It's tenacious. And so that's the yin wood, is always seeking out new ways to solve problems. And the yang wood is the energy of the giant sequoia tree or the oak, and it's a vertical, rising upward, very competitive nature.
Still has that force, that penetrating force.
Going for the sky. It doesn't want a lot of competition or other trees. It is goal oriented, it's driven, and it's going straight ahead.
And we need both the yin wood and the
both
yang
the yin.
wood. They're both very important.
So one of the things Anna and I are going to discuss today is how to use yin, the energy of the season, the yin and the yang wood, to kind of come out of winter, and how to use it to kind of rise through challenges of moodiness or any type of kind of block, creative block.
Contraction or fatigue, wanting to sleep more, any of those things.
Yeah.
May I read another quote?
Yes, please.
Our other one is another lovely. This is also from the Huangdi Neijing. This is from chapter 2. The 3 months of spring, they denote effusion and spreading. There we have it. Heaven and earth together. So heaven and earth together generate life. So here's those one coming up, one going down, and then together they generate life. Mm-hmm. The myriad beings flourish, as we see in the trees unfurling their leaves, and the birds singing and coming to get the worms and sitting on these new little branches. And it's so vital in activity outside right now. Go to rest late at night and rise early.
And the early rising is also connecting, I'll just interject, is connecting with the wood energy, the wood hours of the day, or the earliest times of the morning. And so rising early is actually giving yourself a chance to tap into that organically through Feng Shui.
Move through the courtyard with long strides.
I love that.
So strides. So flowy. Dishevel the hair and relax the physical appearance. So we come from this very contracted, put your hair's in a bun. Maybe you haven't washed it all winter. Probably that's not the case, but less action, less activity.
Like a bear, right?
And now, let it down. Let it feel the wind. Let yourself feel the elements. Thereby, cause the mind to orient itself on life. Everything happening around you. Give life and do not kill. Give and do not take. We'll touch on those two pieces later. Reward and do not punish. This is the correspondence with the chi of spring, and it is the way to nourish life.
I love that.
That's so beautiful.
One of the things we want to talk about in terms of spring and health and nourishing life is care for our bodies and care for our liver. And that's something that's going to be, we'll probably spend more time in the second half of our talk talking about, but the liver is a big in Chinese medicine.
Very important organ. The general.
It's called the general.
Takes orders from the emperor, who is the heart.
So I love that. And
Empress.
And it controls the autonomic nervous system, stores blood, and is the center of the metabolism. Yes. Imbalance can be found in the eyes, the nails, and the vision. It has to do with high cholesterol, digestive disorders, arguments, and mood swings, and even PMS. Mm-hmm. And Anna's going to be sharing some ways to strengthen the liver, and I'm going to be talking about some Feng Shui ways to tap into wood to ultimately strengthen it in the body.
So I'll go through some of the, in more detail, some of those pieces that Eileen just brought up. And I just mentioned that the liver is thought of as the general. So here's another little piece. It spreads the love and kindness from its empress, the heart, and follows orders of the heart. So I just kind of said that, but not how it spreads the love and kindness. That's pretty.
The love and kindness.
So if the heart is filled with the resource of love and kindness, then the liver has that resource to share. The liver is the official planner. Functioning as a general. It plans and is in charge of deliberating, and those two pieces originate in it. A healthy liver can show in a person's resoluteness and indomitable spirit and drive, but drive not in the sense, again, of drive, driven, but of that striding, gliding, taking care of business,
effortless.
I love
that striding. It's like the way that the spring happens. It's not trying. It just is. It's a way of unfurling the energy. And we're going to talk later too about the sun.
Yeah.
But it's really tuning into nature is a great reference point for many, not only things in our bodies, but ways to connect with life. The liver, or wood, I should say, wood is the child of water, and water is the season of winter, and spring is the season of wood. So the wood and the wood is nourished by the water, just like in life. The plants drink up the water,
and then they can sprout,
and they sprout,
and then they can reach
grow
outward towards the sun,
and they reach up, and as they're growing, and then wood is the mother of fire. So as the wood is growing, and then if you were to chop wood, it actually feeds fire, right? And then fire. This is the 5-element system. Fire produces earth, and you can imagine it through a campfire with ash or through a volcano. It's the production of earth. So when a fire is out, it's then earth. The earth produces metal, and the metal produces the water. So, summer season is fire, and spring is wood. So we're in like an in-between time of two extremes of water and fire.
Yeah, extreme yin and extreme yang.
Yep, and hot and cold. And this is the time of easing, of
equidistant
as we come into the equinox. And as we're going to start to, it's going to be tempting to take on a lot. It's exciting as I don't want to be too repetitive, but let's see if I have a quote here.
While you find it, can I?
Yes, please.
Yeah. We tend to be in Western capitalistic societies, of which we are part of.
We're part of that
pretty greatly. We tend to be very wood oriented in our ways. We tend to have very strong drive. We even encourage that drive by drinking a lot of coffee.
What does that do for the liver, by the way? Drinking coffee.
Too much spreading.
I see.
Too much effusive. It depletes the liver resource. It can.
Oh, adrenal fatigue. Would that be?
Or
coffee?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it can. I mean, the resources you're using way more than you actually have.
Right, because you're not nourishing the body.
No, you're just like giving it something that makes you go, and then and often you're like really tired, and then you need that next cup of coffee the next morning because you're pretty depleted, and sometimes you can't even sleep. Sleep time is a very important time to resource the liver energy. You can't even sleep to start, to store back that wood energy again
because you're so wound up.
So we just want to encourage another way to sort of get out of that liver drive and find the not acting on one energetic, but really again being witness to seasons, being witness to nature and to what we see and following that. And so now is the time for that effusive sort of spreading. But if you haven't resourced enough in the winter, then it's a little bit harder to jump up and go. And you can start to feel that stirring, and then keep going and keep spinning, and then spin out. And we've been talking just personally about how we've been needing a little more as we're feeling the stirring, and we're like, ooh, okay, spin and stir through the day, and then how do I resource? How do I have to rest and just be still to refill? So that's.
Well, yeah, we've been seeing it a lot near our offices where we both share offices on the same block in Nevada City, California. And we've been through some major storms recently. It's been very cold and wet. And all of a sudden in the past week, we've had daylight savings time, and suddenly there's cars parked up and down the street, like all along. And
Party time.
Party time. The kids are practicing their sports. It's like summer is here. Spring is here.
Flippies. Everybody's wearing shorts and flippies. And
full steam ahead.
Right.
And, I hope I'm not being redundant if I speak too much of the energy of the year right now.
I don't think so.
I would like to tell you, and forgive me if I do end up repeating myself later as we're fixing our food right now. But this is the month of the rabbit, and it's actually going until April 3rd. It's a metal rabbit, and it's a rabbit over metal. And it's kind of like you can imagine it as a sprout without roots. And if the sprout has no roots, it can't actually drink up the water. It can be blown away. So it doesn't thrive. It doesn't grow. And in this year of the fire monkey, there's a lot of fire and metal. And it's in it when you start to look at the umbrella of the whole chart and the whole picture, the wood is very, very under attack. And it's marginalized. So in this season, all the way from where we are now until April 3rd, through the equinox, it's going to be, astrologically speaking, hard to put our plans in place. It's going to be hard to establish, maybe not for the individuals, but just from a heaven energy presence, cosmic energy presence. It's going to be hard to, it won't be sympathetic to what we want to do or to the season. So it's going to feel fleeting. And I think what we're going to be talking about is slow down, stride through the courtyard. Don't rush it.
Would that mean, Eileen, if it's deficient, so that's what you're saying, is if it's deficient in the wood element, then we can't go bursting and spinning and
we can't.
Stirring forth. We have to.
We can't. You can do it, but luck is not on your side if you do. It's like luck is not on your side. So you can do it, and maybe deal with depletion, or maybe you have a way to balance out later. But in terms of harmonizing with the cosmic energy and with the seasonal energy, we want to, sow your seeds well. This is the time of year to really sow the seeds. Don't just, some seeds can be scattered, but don't scatter water and then rush. Yeah, okay, but put them. This is place them.
Yes, make sure they get their nourishment. Which brings me to another of the functions of the liver, which is storing the blood, and the importance of. So the liver stores the blood to nourish the ligaments, sinews, and tendons, and so we keep talking about how the liver has this sort of expansive, upward-reaching energy, and yes, it does, but it has to pull from something. So in the eyes are the flower of the liver.
I love
that. It's so beautiful. So you wake up, your eyes open, and you move. It's like the sun. Immediately we move. We see the sunlight and we move. And then night comes. We close our eyes. So we close our eyes. We're closing our eyes.
It's going into the water time of day too.
Yeah, and we're letting that liver energy come back in to our body. And at night, the liver energy pulls back in and is stored. And we hold the blood and store the blood in the liver.
So resource. We all need resource. So get rest.
Right. So it can be built again. So we can open our eyes and make that move again through the day and move throughout the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. So getting enough sleep is really important. Being an acknowledgement of, oh gosh, I'm feeling really tweaky. I'm feeling a little spun out. Okay, I'm going to soar. Oh, I'm going to cover my eyes and pull back my liver energy for a minute. These different little simple ways.
Would that be a good way to palm?
Yeah.
I think we talked about
that. We did in the winter.
in our winter solstice,
because it's
blab,
such a storage.
this is a storage mode.
Yeah.
So this is another technique we can use to preserve or to like restore and keep this winter energy pouring out in a slow and smooth way, so that we have a more softer transition.
Striding. Did you want to read something?
I'd like to read something before we
Finish for this half.
And we will join the two halves together. So for those, Mark, that listening right now, you can we hear the rest of our talk later
On YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah. So I just want to say, in the second month, and this is the second month because in
That's right.
the year begins in February with Chinese New Year. Okay, works. This is about finding the pace of the season right now. Okay, and this is from the what's called the Ye Ling monthly instructions, and this was written like 200 BC, 240 BCE. So like more than 2,000 years ago. And part of what Anna and I love to do is look to the past and with modern living, contemporary life, and find a way where it meets and how to fuse it together, and what makes sense for us, and what makes life more rich and interesting. So in the second month, it says, if in the second month works proper to summer are carried out. So that means like the more yang energy, right? The rushing ahead that I spoke of and that we spoke of. If works proper to summer are carried out, there will be flooding and cold winds, and armed robbery will be rife. If the business of winter is done, the warm weather will not come, nor will the corn ripen, and robbers will be everywhere. If the business of spring is carried out, the hot weather will come too soon. If the business of spring is carried out, the hot weather will come too soon. There will be drought, and pests will pollute the grain. So we're not quite ready yet to truly jump into spring. This is a time of what's called clear. It's called the month of the bright wind, and it's a time to be inspecting boundaries and repairing the ground. We're coming out of winter still. It's the rabbits, it's the fertility, it's the spring. But what we've talked about is to go easy. And stride without the effort,
Right.
And without the foolhardiness of leaping into summer already.
So we were talking about the liver's functions and storage of blood. So now we're going to move on to the next function. So the next really big part, especially right now, is immunity. And normal blood supply and flow keeps our muscles and skin really well nourished. And if depleted, and our skin is our protector. Our skin in Chinese medicine, there's wei qi, which is protective outer qi that is semi-permeable. So it lets in what you need and it lets out what you don't need. And it protects you from winds. And this is high season, the wood season, the wood element is associated with the season of wind.
Oh,
so you were reading that stuff about wind. I thought was great. So we are, in the season of wind, and if we're coming from an unresourced place and we don't have our jacket, a wei qi jacket, protective qi jacket on, we are less able to resist any kind of Chinese medicine called a cold or a flu, an exterior attack. It's like something coming from the outside into your body. So we're less able to resist that, and we are more vulnerable to cold flu pathogens. So, as I said, that the liver energy pushes the blood and qi out to the surface for movement. It's not just blood, it's qi also. It just pushes everything out for the expansion. It pushes the yang qi. So the yang qi is what circulates in the wei qi along with the blood. None of these guys are ever separated. They're all like, here's a lot of us and a little of this, so that yang qi circulates on the exterior, arising from the strength of the essence, the strength of the resource, the strength of the blood, and the strength of the kidney qi, which you can
mention
earlier.
Yeah.
And it's that yang qi is employed by the yin, so it's employed by by the fluids, the blood, the essence. It's like, okay, you go out to the exterior to protect us. We're going to flow through the surfaces here, but here you protect. Mm-hmm. And if there's not enough of either, then we're unprotected. And allergy. So here's a little of the Shanghan Lun stuff. Allergy symptoms: sneezing, runny nose, itchy eyes. All those things are actually symptoms of a cold, an unresolved cold pathogen.
Oh,
that's
cold, like as in
cold flu.
Cold flu.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so wow. Maybe it's like each exposure to something element outside, there's no resistance, and it keeps triggering this cold flu response.
Wow,
So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's different.
Yeah, different.
Yeah.
So that's the immunity piece. Then another function of the liver is to provide blood to the uterus and smooth flow of blood to the uterus. So the liver will store and regulate blood so that there's enough when it's moon time to send it down to the uterus. So almost all gynecological issues are related to the liver.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Almost all. The liver is in charge of the downward release of blood from the uterus. So there's in Chinese medicine, the liver it performs a very unusual task in pregnancy. It doesn't release that downward flow of blood. Instead, it's holding and sealing blood in the uterus, which is it's not its normal function.
So we got a message from Carolyn. Let's just check this out. This is one of our pals, Carolyn Weiswasser. iPad and phone needs app. Dang, PC coming in strong. Cool. Fantastic discussion so far. Really enjoying. And I think I'll start waking and walking
early in the morning.
Right on. We're so glad to have you, Carolyn. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So anyways, that sealing and holding is very contra to liver's regular function in the uterus. So and then the Chinese also have this very interesting thing. The Weston Price world is all about like, eat liver when you're pregnant, eat liver when you're pregnant. And the Chinese are like, don't eat liver when you're pregnant, because you don't want to enhance any of the normal functions of the liver.
Oh.
You don't want to enhance that downward
blood flow.
Oh
no.
And I don't actually know that it does, because I've eaten liver. I know many women who've eaten liver.
Well, it can be very popular, liver pills.
Yeah. There's an amazing local liver pill.
There's an amazing company. Should we?
Susie Hazen Webb's mother's liver.
I mean, she makes this from scratch. It's amazing. Yeah.
I sell it in my office. It's amazing.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So did you want to say something?
Well, just how can we support our liver? Is there some
liver pills?
Liver pills.
It isn't just that.
I mean, like, we're drinking tea right now.
We're drinking. Eileen has been a big fan. The last couple times that I've seen her, I've had roasted dandelion.
Always offer the same?
No, it's so good.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The last couple times.
Okay.
It was
roasted dandelion.
The roasted dandelion root. Mm-hmm. And so the question of how do you support your liver right now, look at all the sprouting little greens out there. Look at like my garden is filled with weeds, edible weeds, wild weeds. I should have brought some for pictures, but these vital, vibrant, young, tender little greens are very, very beneficial for our liver energy.
So okay, you live in the city. Can people sprout?
People can get young, tender
microgreens. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, in the city, there's also a lot of weeds growing. If you find a decent place,
just watch out for those.
I lived in the city for a long time, and I weed foraged.
You
forever.
did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Golden Gate Park is fantastic weed foraging. But chickweed is one delicious. I made a potato leek soup that was your recipe, and I didn't have parsley, and I added chickweed, and it was
what's the flavor of chickweed like?
Bland green, light green. It's not very bitter.
Okay.
It's a bland, crisp green.
Crisp. Oh, nice.
it's very tender when cooked and really nice when it's fresh too. I'll make omelet sometimes with it. Dandelion greens are coming up, and right now they are the most. They're the sweetest right now. As they get to flower, they get more bitter and more tough. But liver is not about bitter. That's sort of, this is in our world, in this Chinese medicine, Chinese philosophical world. The liver is not nourished by bitter. The heart is treated by bitter.
I just have a question, and I might be totally off. Vinegar?
Sour, astringent.
Sour, astringent.
That's one way to tend to the liver.
Sour
is to
plum
astringe. Well, there's many ways.
Okay, yeah.
If your liver is way too expanded, you do need some contraction. So sour can hold some of that energy in.
Okay.
And make things supple by keeping it in.
What about kombucha? That's pretty sour.
That's sour. That's good.
Okay.
Small amounts of kombucha. I always feel like people chug kombucha like a soda.
So good, though.
But really, it's like
You're
medicinal,
right,
2 ounces with each meal. It's not.
Yeah,
that's reasonable.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
How much is in a bottle? Like 8 ounces?
12 ounces, I think.
Gosh, 2 ounces? You're very moderate.
Per meal. So that's like a bottle.
A lot of
like
sugar in there too. I know, you're
soda.
right. Okay.
So those dandelion greens, we're gonna have little green fresh fir tips out here pretty soon.
Oh, I
those
love the fir tips. They are so good. You know, if you were in an area with fir trees, and the fir tips are
even redwood tips are delicious.
Redwood tips,
they're delicious.
So it's
pine tips, any tips.
It's just that pale, electrically soft, tender, feathery tip, and you can literally just pluck that off. You don't want to pluck more because the rest is tough and bitter. But just that tip, and
it melts in your mouth.
We've both made pesto with that before instead of basil. She makes sodas with it. You can have it in a salad. It's loaded with lysine
and vitamin C.
Lysine and vitamin C. I mean, it's
I don't know about lysine, but that's interesting.
It's something. It's actually a very
there's actually a relationship between citrus and conifer. Pine and like fir tip, and you can taste that relationship in a fir tip.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so
should we talk about some feng shui to tap into?
Looking at the time.
Yeah, we're looking at the time. Let's just some feng shui tips that you can do to tap into your human and environmental energy to help support wood growth, which is also connected with what we've been talking about, the liver, is you can use the springtime to choose spring to make any major personal decisions or moves. You can also, you want to cultivate more wood in your life, you can do 1 hour of study every day. 1 hour of study. This is a way, education is wood. You can go back to college, you can sign up for a course, but that study helps that wood energy. You can get help from experts. You know, you ever see how the yin wood, it climbs on the bigger trees, right? It needs help, it needs support. So it's always seeking out. So wood also, the young wood at least, is going to be seeking help.
So yin wood is more like the smaller growing plants as opposed to like a tree. Yang wood is tree.
Yang wood would be like sequoia.
Okay. Right.
Our large live oak or cedars. Yeah.
Okay.
Yin wood would be like young wood, but then it could also be like mature lilac. It would be like
smaller, shrubby.
Okay. It would be a vine, a climbing vine. Yeah, ivy.
Vines or weeds.
Yeah. And so getting help from the experts and learn to be specific on personal goals. So that would be getting really clear. And that is a wood kind of structure way. So in terms of your home or your office environment, I mentioned earlier tapping into the east or the southeast, and you can even use greens in those areas. And then you can also incorporate some of the watercolors, which are blues and blacks, to support the green a little bit. So you want to have more green, but some blue and black. And then you can use some soft reds, which would be like a pink.
Pinks, you said earlier.
Yeah, to help with the wood energy cycle.
One thing you said that I thought was really interesting was how flowers, putting rather than putting like a fountain in your home,
Yeah.
or some noisy water toy,
Yeah.
to put flowers or a plant that sucks in water.
Yeah.
It nourishes that kind of
Cycle.
flow, smooth flow and cycle. Yeah.
Because the plant actually drinks up the water. And so you can use fresh cut flowers to move that cycle. That would be to really deal with water issues. You can use a plant to cultivate the stronger wood issues. It doesn't have to be like a lucky money tree. It can be any kind of plant in the East. This year, 2016, the East happens to be one of the auspicious or lucky parts of the house. Same with Southeast. They're both wood energy. The Southeast is a good social star or social energy. This is based on the popular method called flying stars. And the East is love and romance. So the Southeast is good for relationships, and it can be enhanced with some red and pinks. And the East is love and happiness and romance, and you can put a fruit tree in there. You can use 9 red candles and spend time in these areas. This is the best way to tap into that energy.
I think that's my kitchen and bedroom.
Oh, that's great. That's where you are. And your front door then, right?
Door, yeah.
I'd like to read something here. And this is something from what's called the monthly instructions. And this is an old text called the Ling. And it was compiled at around 240 BC, okay, before Common Era. So it says in the second month, which is what we're in now, because New Year wasn't until February 4th, right? So in the second month, rain begins to fall, peach trees blossom, the oriole sings, hawks become crested hawks. In this month, budding plants and new growth must be carefully protected. Nourish the young and the newly born. Consider the welfare of orphans. Kindness. We're going to talk about kindness. Yeah, welfare of orphans. In this month, the swallows return. The day of their arrival, an ox, a ram, and pig are sacrificed to the god of marriage and birth. The empress takes 9 ladies of the second rank and all the concubines to dine, and gives quivers of arrows to all those who have conceived in the honor of the god of birth. This is like the striding through the courtyard, I think.
And
like
honoring life.
Honoring life.
Honoring life.
This is the month the equinox occurs. And the equinox is March 20th. Yes, March 20th. And this is when we have like the perfect mix of yin and yang in the day. It's equal part day and night. And thunder is heard, lightning strikes, hibernating animals begin to move, and opening the mouths of their caves, they come out into the open. At the equinox, all weights and measures are tested and adjusted if accurate. So it's a time of evenness, balancing out. Yeah,
and that seems to be what spring has. Like here you have this, the days are not as cold. They start to warm up. There's moisture there's dew. There's like this. There's a little warmth, but there's still moisture. It's not like hot, searing, dry, or downpour of rain. It's like perfect amount of moisture, perfect amount of warmth, perfect cool in the air. It's like so even and beautiful. So this is such a beautiful thing about another way to cultivate that liver energy, and it's about like how do we act? Is this kindness? Should I go there yet?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Well, we want to be mindful of your attention and your time.
And your time, right?
And this is such a beautiful quote. It's
so beautiful.
Yeah.
So this was translated by one of my colleagues. Her name is Annie Pacheva, and I don't know where she translated it from. She's an acupuncturist. So in that first quote, it talked about giving, don't take, give. And that's sort of the first taste of like the introduction to what this is about. Kindness is the key to restore the yang qi. In Taoism, the clear yang qi manifests in physical and mental vitality, in robust health, vibrant voice, bright mind, love, kindness, ease, purity, and clarity. We all want all of that.
Yeah. Ease and clarity.
The dark and turbid yin qi, which is sort of what we're arising from in winter with, frozen, snow melt, closed. Yeah, this like
non-decision,
muddy earth.
Yeah.
The dark turbid yin qi manifests in various physical and mental diseases: greed, lust, salacity, which I don't know what it means.
What does it mean?
I wasn't going to read it, but anger, jealousy, arrogance, and hatred. The concept of transforming turbid yin and cultivating clear yang is well known in Taoist cultivation and a big part of the spring Tai Chi and Qigong practices. Kindness is the key to restore the yang qi. The kind mind and actions accumulate positive yang energy in the body. And while the yang qi increases, the turbid yin slowly declines and disappears. As the Chinese medicine saying goes, when the sun shines, the yin haze scatters by itself. And so as we warm into this season,
the sun shines, the yin haze is a cloud.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's turbid yin.
Turbid yin. So as the sun shines, it breaks through the clouds.
Dissipates the moisture.
Dissipates the moisture.
And there's evaporation of that turbid yin. And this in our bodies, we use in Chinese medicine warming herbs to help resolve phlegm, rheums. And rheums can be very, very turbid and persistent in the body. And then we have to go to these very, very hot, warm herbs to disperse that. So another piece to this is, to this kindness is about yin deeds.
Excuse me for just a moment.
This concept about yin deeds. There's a yin deed is an action of kindness that you perform anonymously without recognition. So like, the sun doesn't shine because it's recognized. The sun doesn't
like this is just like in
BaZi
or the Chinese astrology, right? The sun isn't asking for thanks.
Right.
It just does. The kindness, it comes, it rises, it shines its warmth effortlessly. It's not trying. It's back to that like striding versus marching.
Right.
Yeah, it's
and lack of demanding.
It's non-dogmatic. It's not demanding. We don't have to sacrifice for the sun to come up every day.
Right.
It just does.
So consider some yin deeds. Consider, picking up that old guy you see hitchhiking all the time.
I did. I
picked him up too.
You did?
I did
yesterday. I picked him up.
I did last week.
Small town.
Ron.
Yeah, is that his name?
Well, that was who I picked up.
Oh, well,
I think it's Ron.
Yeah, the guy with the books.
He's a publisher.
He is?
Yeah, political writer. I learned all this stuff. It was so heartwarming to pick him up.
Yeah. We're not saying pick up.
No, strangers.
Whatever feels good. Random acts of kindness.
Right.
Well, if I was to look at someone's astrology chart and we were to talk about how to get out of this cloud of maybe this yin cloud, one of the ways which can be kind of over sentimentality, and you need a lot of crying or feeling sorry for yourself and kind of if it's too much, one of the ways we kind of can step out of that is to step more into this yang fire. It can really blast out the clouds. That would be like stepping out in a leadership way. And it's not easy if you're really drawn in and in a pool of introversion and self-pity. It's hard to be a leader. It's hard to step out and be that warm. It's that doesn't feel right.
Right.
Be warm.
I'm still turbid. Leave me alone.
Yeah, effusive. No. But that's like a remedy to really get out of yourself. you know, you'll hear people in like, you know, modern psychology talk about, you know, one of the ways to like cure depression is to find someone to live for, or do something to live for, or you know, find something outside of yourself.
A pet or
something.
It can be very helpful. I have a
when-
very depressed patient who just got a pet, and he's like, oh, it's changing my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, so it's like taking you out, being and stepping into more of that sun.
And caretaking without
Expectation
for recognition or payback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not tit for tat, right?
So there's another little quick Chinese herb formula that is a really nice sort of spreading and nourishing of liver energy. And it's called Nuan Jian.
Hold on, I just want to give a shout out to Maya.
Hi, Maya.
Hey, Maya, thanks for trying to join us. We hope you can see us, the part of our recording that will exist.
Right. And this formula is a combination of blood nourishing and...
Is this a recipe?
Yeah, I was going to give...
Yes, cool.
It's just a small recipe. Sometimes Chinese herb formulas can be very big, but this is small. This is Dongui, which is Angelica sinensis, which is a warm, blood-nourishing, blood-moving herb. Gochitsa, which is goji berries, which is a blood and liver blood and kidney yin, liver yin, kidney yin, blood, eye nourishing herb berry. Good one to nibble on, not in high amounts because it's got sugar.
Goji berry.
Yes, but it's a really nice, it's a longevity herb to just nibble. So there's
Like
that in
2
there.
or 3?
When you nibble?
Yeah.
Yeah, a small handful a day or so.
Okay.
So this has the dongui, the goji berries, fennel seed, a little bit of cinnamon. I have in my clinic cinnamon twig, which is not as warm as cinnamon bark, and that's a preferred, but you can use a little bit of the cinnamon. And fresh ginger, or you could use a little dried ginger. It is so nice.
So do you steep these together?
You have to do a decoction, which is a simmering. So you'd take just a little bit of each of them and simmer for like 15 minutes and then strain it out.
Oh, wow.
And you're nourishing your liver. You're giving your liver some resource to spread. You're giving it the ability to, if there is any of the turbid dark yin, these warming herbs will help to resolve some of that. And prevent these nourishing blood tonics from being too cloying too. So it's really nice tea blend to do. And if you feel like you run too hot for something like that, you can don't put cinnamon in it. Don't, put less fresh ginger. If you feel like you need more warming, put dried ginger. So
That sounds delicious.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up.
I'm gonna wrap it. It's a
Thanks
wrap.
for joining us in a Reach for the Sky, a discussion of the true energy of spring. I want to invite you to, if you joined us from Facebook, go back to our event page. If you have any questions, feel free to ask there. We're going to be uploading to YouTube and sharing it on there. And if you joined us through Blab, you'll have access to it through Blab, our talk. And it's been great to share with you. I hope you have a great season. And we're going to try to come back in the summer.
I'm gonna do a summer one.
Do a summer Blab.
And we really appreciate everybody coming and joining us. I think the summer one will probably be before I go to China, right? Yes, because it's aligned with the summer solstice, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
See you then.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.